Hi, YouTube. It's Angela. We're going to do an intuitive card reading for the current energy that we are in now. And the lead card that I pulled here, it's interesting. It's soul loss. So this is tapping into our traumas and some of the deeper wounds that we carry. You know, when we're traumatized, when something happens that is traumatizing, whether it be like a big major trauma or a series of smaller traumatic events that kind of pile up, if they're unaddressed and unprocessed, that creates that sense of stuckness, the old wounds that stick us that get us stuck, stick us. When we are experiencing traumatic events, that creates a disconnection from the true core of who we are, because it shatters that sort of anchor that keeps us grounded within ourselves. But the trauma happens and it kind of blasts all that up, right? And it creates a disconnection. So let's take a moment to tap into one aspect of your soul that may have experienced trauma or loss. We don't want to do this work all at once, right? If you want to excavate every last trauma that's within you, then that's a lot of work. But we can just choose an aspect of one, even just create set an intention to be more aware of when these traumas are within us and when they show up in our decisions and our behaviors. We're not going to change the whole thing at once, right? Because of the time it took to build up this trauma, or to to hold it and process it, leave it unprocessed is what I'm trying to say within us. That time from the traumatic event till now, there's a gap there that could be, it's different for all of us. First of all, the intensity is different and the length of time, but just creating an awareness of an event that caused us to disconnect from the core of our soul, from the core of who we are. Now just tapping into that energy, then resting and not really taking any action or needing to do anything. I pulled darkness right after that. And this is kind of indicating that there are unseen answers ahead, right? You're in darkness over it now. If we tapped into those traumas, it may have us feeling like we don't know what the solution is. I don't know how to clear this. I don't know how to address it. And the answers are unseen. A lot of times they're blocked, that we can't see the light of those answers because of our denial, our suppression of the experience, our trying to run away from it, which is, we're all very, very normal human responses to traumatic events. So we may not be able to see answers, but we can have this awareness that those unhealed wounds slow us down in our lives. They slow us down. They keep us in even just energetically, they keep us in place in ways. They anchor us to certain moments. It's not that it's not something you just brush it off and move on. So this reading is calling for us to have an awareness of these unhealed wounds. And we don't have to clear them all at once, like I said, but let's just create an awareness and, a sort of a patient way of observing it. And this is the card I pulled next, is patience. It's depicted by the crocodile, which is an ambush predator. Crocodile will wait, and it's not impulsive. It doesn't make rash moves. It waits and observes, and it waits for the exact right timing and the exact right situation to know when and how strike, to make that move, right? And this is the energy that the guidance is asking us to take on as it relates to the unhealed wounds that we carry within us. Be patient with ourselves, shine the light on it, have the awareness of it, but then invoke some patience and be the steady force in your life that you know you can be, that can help you to heal some of this. Now, remember, we're talking layer at a time. We're not going in and digging to the bottom and trying to heal it all, because that's very traumatizing itself, right? You're kind of awakening all of that, all of those denser emotions that have been dormant for a while. So just, layers of it at a time. As things come up, have an awareness. Oh, I said that in response to this situation, and that reminds me of when I experienced this trauma. So just that awareness, tying it together, letting it come into the light, and being gentle with it. I pulled listening alongside the patience card. So that is another opportunity for us to listen and be receptive to what those sort of dormant experiences or feelings and emotions, to how those are affecting us and informing the way we make decisions going forward. Just listen, just pay attention. No action needs to be taken right now. But in the sort of emotional exploration and uncovering of these past events, let them sort of have, I don't know, a higher place in the potpourri of all the things that you've been through and gone through and done. Let them kind of have a little spotlight shined on it, so that you can allow it to be a part of your experience going forward, which is what I pulled next, integration. So this is combining those experiences with who you've become now, knowing that, oh, I went through this. It really sucked. It has been sort of part of my story all along here, and it still may be part of my story, but I do not have to, run from it, cling to it, or allow it to take growth within my being. I can allow it to be part of my experience, but not define who I am. And that's these cards, it seems like, oh, you just do this, do that, try this. It seems real easy, but this is deep work. And this is not rapid work. It's deep, and it's meaningful, and it is it's transformative if we move with the energy that we're given, right? I pulled silence as well. So that kind of goes with the listening card, staying open, trusting, listening. Now look at how the intuitive, the third eye there is lit in that figure. It's very important to follow your own truth, whatever that is, and know when to take action, as depicted in that crocodile card. Then the next step after integration, so integration is asking us to take into account all that we've experienced past, where we are in the present, what's going on in our inner world compared to our outer world, our connection to source, our any opposing resistance effects that are in our lives. Take it all in, allow it all to be there, right? It's important. It's important to acknowledge and allow it all to be there, so that you can prepare for your next growth experience. And the beginning of that is gratitude. The beginning of that growth comes from gratitude. Focus on the abundance. What is going well in your life? Yes, I have this trauma that I've hung on to for however long, number of years, number of weeks, whatever that is for you. And there is much to be grateful for. There is much abundance in my world and in my experience. They can both be there, right? That's that integration, that sort of balancing act of all there is. Ways to focus on gratitude. If you're living way too much in your head and you can't get out of the loop, and it's all that you see is negativity and how much you're not gaining and all of the lack that's in your life. It's very easy to do if we just follow the track of our mind. One of the ways, my favorite ways to sort of break that is to get out in nature and listen in silence and be with what is, right? The sound of the wind running through the leaves. You know, I happen to live by the ocean, so hearing the waves crashing, feeling the sand, you know, feeling that salt air, being in exactly what our moment is right now in nature usually will help me clear some of those repetitive thoughts, those thoughts that are getting me nowhere, right? So that's our first step, is focus on the abundance around us in this moment, right? Then I got new vision. So that's allowing us to point our, aim our sights toward that space where our growth takes place. Aim our sights higher and in a more expansive way. This is all energetic. Remember, these steps can be applied to practical goals in our lives, but the work here in this reading is inner work. It's within our inner life, you know, finding a new way of being, finding an ascended point at which to observe all of this energy and to help clear some of the old stagnant energies that, you know, created that trauma or that soul loss in the first place. And then interestingly enough, from two different decks, the final cards I pulled here are rebirth. So this is like the snake will shed its skin. It will, you know, shed the old and move on forward with the new. And then this card here in the Zen Tarot is depicted by sort of the 3 levels of being. And I believe it's an imagery from Nietzsche, I think. I'm not sure, but I think I remember hearing that. But basically it's our, you know, the camel is depicted. The camel will just sit there. He believes he's a mountain because of his hump, and that he doesn't really have to do much except just be in that sort of 3D earthbound level. And then we move into a new phase, usually from that stagnant space into the lion, where we either like start to growl and hear ourselves, let ourselves be heard, you know, tell others no, create a boundary, you know, kind of speak up for ourselves. And then from both of those comes the child, which is neutral, which is, you know, I don't have to be in the 3D, or I don't have to rail back and fight against anything. I can just allow this to be. That creates a sense of rebirth, because you're creating a new way of relating to yourself, to your traumas, to your past, to your wounds. You're creating a new way of relating to them. And remember, it was triggered by the gratitude. That is a key here in this reading as far as turning the corner. Now, of course, I want to give a disclaimer here. If you have very deep trauma that is that feels insurmountable just by doing spiritual work, or by you know, over time letting it fade away, sometimes we don't feel like we have that time, or it will take too long, or we feel impatient, then that's definitely when you want to seek professional help. If your traumas are so deep and so making you so immovable and you know, unable to cope, there's a place for that too, right? Which is to seek professional help. You know, we all need the help, right? This channel is kind of here for that, on an energetic level. And then sometimes in our lives, you know, the practicality of it demands that we take action and you know, rely on others to help us get through some of this. But for the most part, it is doable on our own, this clearing of old trauma. But we're all not at the same level of the soul work, and we're not all, you know, we don't all carry the same amount of patience, right? If you feel yours is wearing thin, find another route to clear it. But the truth is those unhealed wounds slow us down, hold us in place, and prevent our progress, right? So we want to acknowledge them, bring them to the light, and work with them in whatever way we can to clear them. And not all at once, remember, we won't be doing that all at once. It's little by little we get to clear some of those energies. Okay, thank you for being here. I hope that you gain some knowledge or wisdom from this reading, and I will talk to you again very soon.